I want to, from the onset, say a pleasant good morning to all of our citizens, residents, whether our citizens are here in the Federation or abroad, for joining us in this another episode of the Roundtable. As was explained, I use this opportunity to sit with the press and have a conversation on matters of national importance in a forum that is somewhat more relaxing so that we can get to the depth of the many, many issues. I also want to say that these opportunities really allow us to fulfill our mandate of being transparent, accessible, open, which is very critical at this juncture as we seek to strengthen our good governance platforms and to make sure that our people have access to the information. As I've always said, without our people, we are nothing, because at the end of the day, it is the people who determine who will serve them. Before we delve into the matters at hand, I wish to extend once again my sincere, but before I get to that, let me thank the media houses for being here. And I know you're from the Media Association, and I want to encourage the association to continue to grow from day to day, because you form part of the democratic process in terms of getting the information out to the people. And so I appreciate you taking time out and being here. But before we delve into the matters at hand, I wish to extend once again my sincere condolences to the family and loved ones of our late Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, KC, JP, LLD. Yesterday, we had the state service honoring his legacy. Sir Tapley had a long and distinguished career. His legacy has been deeply etched into the rich history of our beloved Twin Island Federation. And of course, he would have had an impact regionally as well. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Today, I am going to share with you an overview of my recent time working abroad. As you know, each time that I travel overseas, I would come back and update the people as to the outcomes of those visits. I want our people to know that when we travel, we're actually working abroad. These visits, they do a lot to advance our country. They do a lot to make sure that our country remain among the nations, the leading nations of the world, give us a chance to dialogue, to build relationships, and all this helps in advancing our country, which is felt at the very kitchen table of our citizens and residents. And therefore, it is critical that we make a number of critical trips to move our country forward. I choose to do this so that people understand that these trips are not trips, unnecessary trips, and these trips are not trips to these trips are really geared to working and making sure that we fulfill the agenda. I traveled to Anguilla for the Ansa opening ceremony. That's the Anguilla Navy St. Kitts Association Reunion, a quick stop on my way to Brussels for the EULAC Summit. But I had committed to go to this meeting. This meeting I deemed to be a critical meeting, and I fulfilled my commitment. I have decided that I will return to Anguilla at some point. That was actually my first official visit there, my first visit in general. And for the time that I spent there, I was treated with a great deal of hospitality. It's a beautiful island, and I, of course, would return again. And as the residents there told me, make sure I come back for a longer stay the next time. And I told them I will. And what I recognize is that the people of Anguilla, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, that we are really still one people, irrespective of the political situation at this time. And I think the people connection, the family connection, supersedes everything else. So according to the president of the association, that was the first time in almost 40 years of existence that all three island leaders were present at the event. And that, to me, that says a lot. I was there, Prime Minister St. Kitts and Nevis, the Premier of Nevis was there, and the Premier of Anguilla was there in Anguilla. And from history, they're saying that it's possibly the first time that all three of us would have been at the same table at the same time. So that tells us that we are definitely moving in the right direction and making sure that the family connections, the regional connections, and so forth are kept intact, are not only kept intact, but they are improved upon. So I look forward to the prospect of working closely with the Premier of Nevis, which we are for the betterment of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Premier Matt Brantley, also the Premier Dr. Ellis Webster, who is a medical doctor by training, and one who has extended a significant amount of support to me, even as the chairman of the OECS Authority. And I want to thank Dr. Webster, for his continued support. And there is a lot of room for us to continue to grow as we seek to do what is in the best interest of all of our people. Immediately after following the ceremony, I had to then travel to Brussels, Belgium, for the European Union and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC Summit. The EU CELAC Summit brought together leaders from the European Union and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States with the main objective to foster dialogue and cooperation on various regional and global issues, including climate action and finance, trade, security, citizenship, and human rights. And so after delivering my statement on the second day, which I had the opportunity to do, the President of the European Union Council expressed his satisfaction with our contribution, my contribution, and highlighted that that was the first time that our federation presented to the European Union, the first time. And I want to underscore that because this is very critical, especially for what I know will be questions as far as visa-free access and so forth are concerned that I think I might be asked later on. But it's the first time. This meeting was held about 8 years ago, and now the European Union, the Caribbean and Latin America, we are back together again. But I want to underscore how critical it was that I represent our federation at that most critical meeting, to the point where the President of the European Union Council really recognized our contribution and expressed his satisfaction with the contribution that we made to the whole process. For St. Kitts and Nevis, participating in the summit presented numerous benefits. Firstly, it provided an opportunity for our country to strengthen its diplomatic ties with both the EU and the Latin American and Caribbean region. Engaging with larger economies could open up doors for enhanced trade and investment opportunities, potentially boosting economic growth and diversification. The summit's discussions on climate change, climate action, climate finance, and environmental issues are particularly relevant to St. Kitts and Nevis, which faces the imminent threat of rising sea levels and extreme weather events such as drought, the very drought that we are dealing with right now, possibly the worst in our history. And we have been facing that for months now, which is affecting our water supply. We are already 40% less than last year, which was already a lower percentage than the year before. And this is due to climate change. And by aligning with the EU and CELAC's initiatives, our country can access support and resources to implement sustainable development projects and build resilience against climate-related challenges. Through our participation in the summit, I was able to address security concerns, including transnational crime and drug trafficking, by fostering closer cooperation with regional and international partners, which I've been doing over the past months. Such collaborations are crucial to maintaining peace and stability within our region. Our region has been declared a zone of peace by the European Union, which is, of course, critically important if persons are to look at the region as an area for investments and for tourism. There were also talks of the citizenship by investment programs within the Caribbean. 3 Caribbean leaders met with the EU commissioner responsible, Commissioner Johannes Hahn, and had discussion on the future of the programs with a goal to set up a working committee to address the issues so we can expect to see some progress in the near future. I want to say to our people on this matter, before I'm asked by the press, as the chairman of the OECS, I led that meeting with the commissioner. We, of course, the 3 prime ministers were there, myself, the Prime Minister of Dominica, and the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. There are issues to work through, issues that I met there, that I have been working through since day one to preserve and to not only preserve, but to make sure that the name of St. Kitts and Nevis is properly restored. We have agreed to set up a working committee, and I want to say to our people that in the very near future, I would have to be traveling back and forth to Europe to make sure that we have a positive outcome. And I will do all that I can as the leader of this country to protect our country as much as possible, to cooperate with our partners in the EU, in Europe in general, so that we can have the most positive outcomes possible. Some of the things that we have done thus far has put us in a better light and has kept us on a good path thus far. However, more needs to be done, which I have committed to, which this administration has committed to. So I wanted to put that out there as well. I want to say that upon taking office, your government moved expeditiously to quickly address the issues we encountered in our CBI program. We implemented new SRNOs in short order, just like we opened up the country in short order. New SRNOs regarding the program to strengthen and to close gaps that has now received favorable reviews thus far. Due diligence undertaken has been extremely beneficial in safeguarding our programs, and we have strengthened that as well. We will continue to implement the necessary procedures and do the work required to strengthen and protect our country and to protect our people. We are going to continue on the path to ensure that we make all the necessary changes to build our CBI program for the betterment of our people. Overall, the EULAC Summit 2023 offered St. Kitts and Nevis a platform to strengthen its international relations, addressing pressing challenges and seek opportunities for socio-economic development and environmental protection, as discussed previously. And so I really wanted to touch on those 2 matters concerning my travels and what took place at the EULAC meeting, and to now give the press the opportunity. There are other issues, of course, to be discussed, but I'm pretty sure that in our discussion, those things would come out. And what does not come out, I will bring them to the fore. And so I want to thank you for allowing me those few minutes to make an opening statement and to now give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have.